My name's Monk Rowe at Hamilton College, and we are looking forward to a concert with Billy Childs and his trio in 2 days' time on Saturday. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me, Monk.
I know that people might say, he's got a dark music room there. Well, that's because you're a working musician. You're on the road, and
Yeah,
I appreciate you taking out a little time.
yeah.
Um,
I'm an improvising light man too.
that's right. People could only see beyond our screen.
Yeah.
I'm curious when you arrive at a hall that you've never played before, and
hmm
you come in and you do a sound check, you hear the sound of the room, you get the character of the piano. Do you make changes to your set list based on any of those things?
No, not based off of the sound of the room. We still play pretty much what the program will be. I may change it in the middle of the set, um, depending on how the flow of the set feels. How the interplay with the audience is going. If um, if it's a much more enthusiastic crowd, I may do longer sets or maybe just a set that is like what I've arrived at before. If it's a regular interaction, but there have been some gigs where I've just felt like I need to change the song, in the middle of the set. And usually it has to do with how long we've played. So it has more to do with like how we're playing and how the solos are going, and so forth, rather than the hall itself or the instruments.
This could be an obvious question, but I see you're going to be at Smokes according to your gig list. And is it easier to get a feel for the audience in a club than it is in a 700 seat theater where the audience, be 20 or 30 feet away from you in the front
Yeah.
row?
Um, I really like the intimacy of having people up close, but when you're in a big hall, you can also make it feel like it's intimate also. Um, a lot of that has to do with just simply talking to the audience and inviting them into your world. Um, and it took a while to get used to that idea, to get comfortable with that, to be able to speak to people like normal, rather than in a formal setting that a concert situation may engender.
Yes.
But once you break that ice, it's the same thing, I think. A lot of it has to do with the sound also, because a small room, the drums are like right there, and in a large concert hall, the drums may be further away from you. The monitors will be more important. Um, so it's the intimacy with the audience has to do with the intimacy that each musician feels with each other, in terms of how close physically we are in the space.
I see. It's like contagious almost.
Yeah,
You gave me a flash when you were talking about addressing the audience, and I got to see Cannonball Adderley a number of times,
yeah,
and he was a master at that.
really.
Just inviting people into explaining the music a little bit, and
Yeah.
yeah, making people a part of it.
Yeah, I think it's good because you're playing for people. And people, I think once the object is to win people's trust, to have them trust that they're going to have a good time and that the music is going to move them or whatever. And once you do that, you can get as layered and as complex as you want. You
Yeah.
know, you could be playing the most avant-garde music, but if it's presented in a way that invites the listener in, then then they'll go with it.
Right. Will you be playing music from your latest recording? Is that Winds of Change?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be playing mostly stuff from that. And then a few, it's going to be mostly Mac Avenue music. That I recorded 3 albums with Mac Avenue, The Winds of Change, Acceptance, and Rebirth. And it's going to be music that is mostly going to be from those recordings, but with the emphasis on the Winds of Change.
Is it hard for you to pick titles? Maybe hard isn't the right word. I'm going to rephrase. Do your titles have a significant connection to the character of the music in your mind?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll have an idea of a subject that I want to write about and try to describe it musically. Sometimes I'll just write music and then see what it suggests to me and come up with the title that way, after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of either or. The title sometimes will lead the composition, and the composition will sometimes determine the title.
How about your bandmates? I'm sure that I see you have Sean Jones in a really stellar outfit. Do
Yeah.
you like most musicians? You probably have a list, an A list.
Yeah, I mean, I have, well, fortunately, everybody who I've played with are A list. It's all A list, um, to me anyway, and most like to the rest of the world too. I've had the good fortune of playing with incredible, you know, instrumentalists from Brian Blade, Ari Honig, Eric Harland, and Scott Colley, Hans Glavishnig, Christian Human on drums, Steve Wilson, Sean Jones. It's everybody. I mean, would be that I've just named would be an A list for anybody's group. So yeah, I've just been very lucky that way.
I wondered if some of your songs, when you conceive of them, are you hearing a saxophone playing the melody or a trumpet, or don't you quite go that far yet?
Yeah, no, I do. I usually, yeah, I'm hearing the sound, the timbre of whatever instrument is the melodic voice, and whether it's a saxophone, a trumpet, or a flute, or a trombone, or whatever. It's yeah, I kind of have that in my mind. Sonically, I wanted this to be the sound, and then I'll write a melody that I think would be appropriate for that.
Right.
That would be best expressed like that. I might have a melody that I've written just on the piano that I like the shape of it, and then determine what instrument would best, express it. Might be just the piano too.
I noticed on a video I watched trumpet, and you were playing the melody in unison with the trumpet. And I thought,
Oh,
that's such a simple concept, but people don't do it that often. And
yeah.
yeah,
I wonder what melody was that? Is it
well,
off the Winds of Change?
yes, I think it was.
It could have been uh it could have been The End of Innocence, or it could have been yeah, it wasn't The Winds of Change. It's probably the Great Western Loop. Um because that one everyone is unison on the melody.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an orchestration thing, and hopefully down the line we'll speak again and we can get into all that. But
Yeah.
I just want to say that everybody here is looking forward to the gig,
Yeah, me too.
and I appreciate you taking time out. You mentioned you've got like a priority of things you're finishing, practicing for.
It's just a pretty insane time right now. I just finished writing a piece for the Los Angeles Master Chorale that I'm editing now and getting it working it into shape so that I could give it to a copyist. And then the piece for the music for Clinton, New York, I'm gonna have to practice that, revisit that, because it's not easy. And then also I'm here in Ravinia doing a faculty concert with Steve Wilson and Rufus Reed and Kurt Elling and Sarah Caswell, Christian Newman. So it's going to be fun.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I know a couple of those folks, so if you don't mind saying hello, I'd appreciate it.
I
And
definitely will.
yeah, and we'll connect down the road, hopefully, and best
Yes.
luck with your music and your travels.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Over and out.
All right.